In this video, I'm going to show you how to load spatial data, for example, Shapefiles into PostGIS. In the last videos, I already show you how to install PostgreSQL and PostGIS. Also show you how to install QGIS. Once we have these software packages set up on your computer, then we can go ahead to load some data into the database. And so we are going to use some sample data from my GitHub repository to use in this video. And you can go to my GitHub account, github.com/gswqs/data. The link is also in the description below. Once you're on the web page, you can click the green button and click the download zip. So it's going to download all the files within this repository to your computer, and you can just hit save. Then it should be downloaded to your computer, and after that you can just unzip the file. I'm going to unzip here to my downloads folder. So here are all the data, okay, in here, and we are going to use some of the sample data here to show you how to load data into PostGIS. So once we have the data, then we can open the database. You can go to the start menu, and you can just type pgadmin and pgadmin4. Just click, then it should open this one. You might need to enter the username and the password. So once you have the password, then you can click here the database. It will show you some of the database that has been created. So if you double click, it should show you the database. And so this is the SDB database that we created last time, and we're going to use this one to demonstrate how to load data into the database. So there are a couple of ways you can do that. You can using the interface. You can also use command line. So in this video, I'm going to show you two ways to load the spatial data into PostGIS. So the first way is to go to the start menu, and then you can just search PostGIS, and you should be able to find this one, PostGIS bundle 3 for PostgreSQL and Shapefile, and you just click, then it should open this dialog. So this is where you can import all the Shapefiles to PostGIS. You can also go to start menu and scroll down to find PostGIS bundle 3. It's the same, and then click this one, PostGIS bundle 3. Once you open the dialog box, then you can start setting up connect to the database, right? So the first one here, you need to click view connection details. From here, you need to enter the username and the password. Again, this is what the database that we set up in the last video. So the name of the database is named SDB, and the username is Postgres, and also the password is the one that you set up. So the username lowercase Postgres, and then the username, the password is the one you set up, because right now it's on a local computer, so it's a local host, and then the port number is 5432.34.1, and then the name of the database is SDB. Okay, then you can just hit OK. It will show you here, once you hit OK, connecting to the database, and then connections succeeded. So this is a good sign. If it fails, then you need to fix the issue. Otherwise, you won't be able to load the data into here. So next, we can click the add file, and it should pop up this dialog box, allow you to select data, and we're going to go to our user directory under the I think under the downloads folder. Okay, and then data, and then if you click in. So in this example, I'm going to import, for example, the 3 US Shapefiles, for this one for the state, the other one for counties, and the third one for cities. So you can hit press shift on your keyboard to select all these 3 files, and then just hit open. So very important here, make sure that you need to change the SRID, so spatial reference ID, because by default this one here does not recognize the spatial reference, so you need to enter that by yourself. And so from the data that I downloaded, I know these are all the data in a geographic coordinate system. So the spatial reference ID is 4326. You just need to enter this one. If it is some other coordinate system, you just need to identify using other software packages. And then once you get the EPSG reference ID, then you can just enter them here, 4326. And then 4326. Okay, that's it. So once you fix the spatial reference ID, then you can click import. Okay, so just hit import, and it's going to go through the 3 files to import them. You can see the details here in the log window. Importing configuration, blah blah blah. Shapefile import completed. That's good. So this is a point, and the other one is a multi-polygon, right? So for the state and the counties, those are multi-polygon. So those 3 files have been successfully imported, and then we can use the database to take a look. But before I do that, I'm also going to show you if you you can use the start menu, but you can also find out where this one is located. So for example, if you want, you can go to, again, the PostGIS bundle, this one here. And from this one, you might be able to, for example, right click and then more, and then click open file location. So you can actually, right now this is in the start menu, so it doesn't show you where this one is actually located. But if you go to the C drive and then program files, PostgreSQL, setting, Bing, PostGIS GUI. If you scroll down, you will see this one here, SSP to PostgreSQL GUI exe. And if you double click, it's the same. So the file, this one we were using earlier, is come from here. So you can either double click here. Okay, so right now we have all the 3 sample data set are loaded into our database. Then we can come to the PG admin and just right click the database, refresh. Then you can go to schema, okay, and public, because we only have the public schema right now. And then click the tables. You will see right now we have this 3 tables in here. And for example, if you click the US state, right, so this is the spatial database, and you can also take a look at the columns, right? GID, ID, name, and also the geometry. So the geometry column is where we actually store the geometry. And if you want, you can go to, you can select the database, and then you can open tools, query tools. So from here, you can write any spatial SQL syntax here. We're going to talk about more later in this course, but for now, if you want, for example, you want to see all the attribute table in this one, you can write a SQL here, and just select star from, and then it will be the name of the table. So the name of the table is US underscore states. Then you can just click this one to run here, and it will show you the attribute table. So this is similar to in the desktop GIS. You can open the shapefile and then you can right click to open the attribute table. That's the same idea. So this one has 4 columns, right? ID, name, and then the geometry. So this is geometry is the one right now you cannot really understand this, because this column is like kind of a binary, and you need some software actually to do this one to render as a geometry. And so once you import the data, you can also take a look at here the if you go to, let me see here, the server, and then you click the dashboard. So the dashboard will also show you, for example, let me click the database. It will show you, for example, who is actually accessing right now the data, right? So you can see we are using the Postgres, we are the user, and we have client actually connected. So next, I'm going to show you how we can use QGIS also to load data into the database. You can open just QGIS. If you go to the start menu, just search QGIS, you should be able to find this one. I already have it open. And in the last video, I also show you how to load some base map into QGIS, right? So add some base map, and once you have those base maps, on the left side here, if you click XYZ tiles, you should be able to find this one, and then you can, for example, I can add the base map into QGIS. So next, I'm going to show you how to load the data. And on the left side here, the browser here, you should be able to see the item PostGIS, and just right click, new connection, and then the name. So the name, this one doesn't matter, it can be anything. I can just put, for example, SDB, and then the service, you can leave it empty. So the host here is because we are connected to the database and it's under a local computer, so it's called local host. If you connect to a real server, then you need to type in the IP address and then the port number 5432, the database SDB lowercase, and then you need to authenticate, right? We're trying to connect to the database. You can click the basic. From here, you can enter the username and the password that we set up. So the username is PostGIS, and then you can type the password. You can hit store and store so that you don't have to enter that one more time, and then we can just test connection. Upper top at the top here says connection to SDB successful, so that's good. Keep that in mind because we're doing that on our local computer, so we can just store this, so we don't need to enter again. But if you're doing that for on a public computer, you don't want to do this one because it's not safe. Anyway, so once we have successfully connected, then we can just hit OK, and it's going to ask you, warn you that you have opt to save your password. It will be stored in unsecured plain text. Because I'm just doing for a demo, so it's fine. I'm just click OK. Then on the left side here, you should be able to see, for example, click the PostGIS, and so this is the name that we just used, and you see here it's connected to this database, and then under the public, now you should be able to see this 3 shapefile that we added, and also you see the icon. So if did a point, this is point, this is polygon. Once the data in the database, if you go to the pgadmin, let's see it one more time. If you refresh, you should be able to see. Let me click here, go to the database, and then go to dashboard. It's not showing up here. This just add the data, so you can just, for example, all you need to do, just right click anywhere, right click any data layer, and then just add the layer to the project. So it's right now loaded to the map. Here, and then so right now the data is the spatial data, just like your regular shapefile. You can use that on your local computer, and then you can use the, for example, identifier if you want to identify anything. You can also right click to open the attribute table. This is similar when you use the PostGIS to query the data, right? But you don't see the geometry column here because the geometry has been automatically used by QGIS to render the data. And that one is in the binary format, so it doesn't really show you here on the attribute in the attribute table. You can add more data if you want. You can also drag and drop that one here somewhere on the map. It's also going to add the data, right? So the second one here is the county shapefile. Again, you can also right click to open the attribute table. This one has a lot more. The last one here is the US city. Again, I'm going to add this one to the map, and you should be able to see all these data in here. So this is how you can load the data into PostGIS, and then you can access the data using QGIS. Again, I'm going to go back to here and let me refresh. I think it should show up here somewhere that the data being accessed by QGIS. So let me see. Okay, so now it comes up. This is the dashboard, so it shows you who is actually accessing your data. So assume that you have a central database somewhere located on a server, and then anyone can use desktop.js or web.js to connect to the database, and then within here you'll be able to see all the clients connecting to the database, and you can also see, for example, the transactions or these kind of things. We'll talk about more later in this course. Okay, so next I'm going to show you another way how to load the data, right? So earlier we load the data using the bundler, so the PostGIS bundler, this one. But we can also also import data directly within QGIS without having to use other tools. So once you connect the database, then you can go to the menu, database, DB manager. Okay. Once it's open, then on the left side here, click the PostGIS. Okay, so this one we already connected, right? And then once you select the database, click the import layer. And so this one here, so because we already have these 3 data layers already added to the map, it's going to automatically asking you which one you want to use. So let me remove this first because I'm going to add some new data here to the database. These 3 we already have, so I'm going to remove. and I can go to the downloads folder again. Let's add some other data, for example, the countries, and also the just the countries. So we're going to add this one to the database. Again, let me drag this one to the map first. So I'm going to add this one to the map, and this is the country boundary for the entire globe. And so what we need to do is to go to database DB manager, and then PostGIS SDB import. Oh, we need to select import, and then you will see this one here, import countries, right? If it doesn't show up here, you can also click this one to navigate to the folder to find out the file that you want to import. And so the next one here is to select the schema. We only have one here right now, public. So this is basically just a subdirectory within the database. And then the table name, by default, we're going to use the same name like the set as your set file. So we can just use countries, but you're also welcome to change this one if needed. And then next, very important, check this one, create spatial index, right? So because this is spatial data, and if you have a spatial index, it's much faster to basically query the data. And if you want, you can also check this one, source spatial reference ID and target, but QGIS actually can automatically recognize that. So we don't need to set this one. You can do that if you want, but we're just going to leave it empty, but just check this one and then just hit OK. And okay, error duplicate key while consistent. Let me see. Okay, so it seems like the data that we have does not have a unique ID, so it basically violates the key unique constraint. So we need to actually have a key, and let's go back to edit the file to add a new column so that we have a unique key. So let's just cancel everything, and we can go back to here, open the attribute table. As you can see, right now we only have 2 columns, so we don't have a unique ID, and that's the problem for the spatial database. You all need to do, go to the toggle editing mode, and then you can click here this icon, open a field calculator. Once you open this one, then you can just simply double click this one here, row number. So it's going to create a new field, and so this field name we can just maybe try UID. And then just double click this one on the left side here, show you how to add this one, and then just hit OK. So now we have the new column with the unique ID, and we can just click save. It's going to save this one. Then we can go back to add the data. But before we do that, you might want to refresh the database, because although the import is not successful, but the empty table was already created. So you might need to just delete the data layer if you want to use the same name. So I'm going to delete this country layer. Okay, it's done. Then we can go back to the database DB manager, PostGIS SDB, and just import again. Input. Okay, so this is the shape file, the countries, and then the schema public, the table. I'm going to use the countries, and again we can check create the spatial index primary key. Okay, so this is the one we used earlier. So the new will be the UID because the name that we chose is UID. Then we can hit OK, and now it says import was successful. So we hit OK, and we are done. So on the left side here, you can it's automatically refreshed, so we are good to go. You can just drag this one to the map, and now you will see we can uncheck the previous one that we added. Now this one here is within the database. Okay, it's no longer a shape file, and you can do query, you can do spatial query if you want. I'm going to show you later how to do the query, but for now, if you want, you can open this one. You can open the attribute table, right? So it's the same one that we added earlier. Also, you might notice here this one has update SQL layer. If it is a regular shape file, you won't have that menu available. Okay, so this is basically provide more functionality that you can manipulate the data, you can query the data, you can have certain geometry, you can do select by attribute, you can also select by location. And so this is the 2 ways they can import data into QGIS. The limitation about this one is that for here you can only do it one by one. So when you import the data layer, you can only do it one by one. So for example, you can each time you can select just one data layer. You cannot select multiple. This is the downside, but you have more control, and also it can automatically recognize the spatial reference ID. So in that way, you don't have to worry about how to figure out the spatial reference ID. Even you don't check this one, it's still being automatically recognized, and that's the basically the advantage of using the QGIS rather than using the bundler, the first method that I show you. Okay, so that's all for this tutorial, and hope to see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.